Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video we're going to be speaking about SMARD. I'm going to explain what SMARD is, how I got diagnosed and how I live with the condition. But first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you on the support on the first video. I really didn't expect it. I thought it would maybe get around like 30 views or something, but I got over 1,000 views in the first week, so that was amazing. I got lots of lovely comments and everyone seemed to be liking the video and sharing the video, so thank you all so much for the support on that. Like I said, really didn't expect it, and sorry it's took a wee bit of time to get this video up. I've honestly tried to film it about 50 odd times, and I actually filmed it twice for half an hour and realised I didn't even speak about SMARD, explain what SMARD is. So hopefully today I do better with that and you actually learn what SMARD is. So yeah, I'll just get into it. I'll start off with facts about SMARD, and then I will say how I got ill, what the signs was, and then answer some questions at the end that you guys asked. So just to start with, what does SMARD stand for? So SMARD is spinal muscular atrophy with respiratory distress, and it is a motor neuron disease, and obviously it affects all the muscles and the respiratory. At the moment, it has no treatment or cure. It's such a rare condition, they don't even know how many cases there is worldwide. They think there's around 80, but they're not quite sure. And I think at the moment I am the oldest girl in the world that has it. But that's obviously, we don't know because we're just going by like people that's on Facebook group and like the labs that's doing research, their sort of figures. So yeah, we think there's around 80 cases worldwide. And like I said, it's got no treatment or cure at the moment. And then the next bit says, how does a child get SMARD? So it's a genetic condition, so it gets passed on by the parents. So both my parents are carriers of the gene, and they passed it obviously down to me. But there's 1 in 4 chance, if you're carriers of the disease, there's 1 in 4 chance that the baby will end up being affected by the condition. So it's the chances are like 25%. The baby will be affected, like myself, or the baby could just be a carrier, like the parents, so not be affected by the disease at all, but carry the mutated gene. And then there's the chance that it's not affected at all. So the gene that's affected is the IGHMBP2 gene. That's the mutated gene, and there's different combinations of the mutations in the gene, and that's how every child with SMARD is so different, the way it affects them. So yeah, there's different, each child with SMARD, it affects them differently. Some are stronger than others, and that's due to the combination of the mutations in the gene. And the other part of this, it says, how does SMARD differ from SMA? So they're actually really similar in the way they affect the muscles and the breathing, as it's the lower motor neuron cells that's affected, and it affects the muscles that would, you use for like walking, talking, eating, that sort of thing. So it affects it like that, but the actual gene that's affected is totally different. So like I said, the SMARD mutated gene is the IGHMBP2 gene, and the affected gene in SMA is the SMN1 gene. So totally different genes. There is like trials going on just now for children that's affected and adults with SMA, and they've got something that is working on them, but it's because it's a totally different gene, that wouldn't be the case for SMARD. We would need a totally different trial for the gene that we have to get that to work. So there is research going on at the moment for gene therapy with SMARD, but obviously that is taking a lot of money. So that's something else I'll speak about later on in the video, or actually maybe in a different video. But there is research going on and we're trying to start raising a lot of money for that. But yeah, I'll speak about that in another video. So yeah, SMARD and SMA are similar in ways, but also totally different in the same way. SMA is a lot more common as well. So it says there's about 1 in 40 people would be carriers of the SMA affected gene, whereas in SMARD there's not even a number because it's so rare and they don't even know how many people would be carriers of SMARD. Also in SMA, the baby, when you first see signs of something wrong, the baby comes across as quite floppy, and then usually the respiratory weakness comes after that. But in SMARD, it's the other way around. So the respiratory usually comes first, and then it's the muscle weakness everywhere else that continues on from that. SMARD causes the diaphragm to paralyse, so that's why you can see me using my upper chest muscles to breathe. A bit like, it looks like a bit of an effort because I'm using all my upper chest muscles to breathe because my diaphragm's totally paralysed. So again, that's why I've got my tracheostomy, which helps me breathe. I go on a ventilator at night that breathes for me, and a lot of children with SMARD are actually on their ventilators all the time. They can't breathe unassisted at all. So I'm quite lucky the fact that I can come off my ventilator during the day and breathe by myself. So it says here the signs of SMARD. So once the baby's born, the signs of SMARD is a weak cry. So that is something that's true. When I was little, my mum always said she could see tears coming out my eyes, but she didn't really hear me crying or screaming. Not very loud anyway. Feeding difficulties and poor weight gain. So actually when I was born this wasn't an issue. I was actually quite a chubby baby, and up until I got ill I was eating totally fine, putting on weight, all that sort of things. And says an elevated heart rate, excessive sweating, rapid breathing, clenched fists, and foot drop or club feet. So this is actually where when my mum noticed there was something not quite right with me, it was because of my feet. So when I was a baby, around the age when they start pushing down, when my mum would hold me above her knees. Usually babies try and kick down, push down on their feet. I never really done that, or I couldn't do that. And because she already had my brother, who's 5 years older than me, she knew this wasn't kind of normal. So she went to the doctors, raised her concerns, and the doctor just said she was being paranoid. So my mum went home. She was only young at the time, she was 22, so obviously she believed what the doctors were saying. So she went home, and then a few months passed, and she was like, nope, something's definitely not right. So she went back to the doctors, and then they said I had club foot or floppy feet that they call it. So I ended up having to get casts on my feet all the way up to my hips when I was a baby. So that was the start of it. And then it wasn't until I was 18 months that the respiratory distress happened. So that's quite late for babies, because it actually said it's usually within 6 weeks to 6 months is usually when the signs of SMARD come out and that the respiratory fails. But I was 18 months when this happened, so I got rushed to Aberdeen Hospital, and there they actually cleaned out my lungs, and then I got airlifted to Glasgow Hospital. So I was in there for quite a while, and that's when I got my tracheostomy. So I was quite lucky, I think, I would say, because Now, when children are getting diagnosed with SMARD, the doctors are pretty much telling the parents that the children are going to have no quality of life, they're not going to do much, and the parents have to fight quite hard for the children to get tracheostomies. Whereas in my case, my mum and dad didn't get a choice. They just gave me one in an emergency, which is probably a good thing. So I got my tracheostomy, got put on a ventilator, and I've not known any difference since then. And then I got taken back to Aberdeen. I spent around a year in hospital. They didn't know what was wrong with me. They'd done biopsies, bloods, all that sort of things, and they couldn't really work out what was wrong. So they actually misdiagnosed me with SMA type 2. At the time, my mum and dad hadn't really heard of the condition, they didn't know what it was, so they put them in touch with the Jennifer Trust, which was the charity that supported people with SMA and whose children had SMA. And at the time, there was only one other family in Aberdeen who sadly they had a son that passed away with SMA when he was a little baby. So mum and dad spoke to them, and as I grew up, we started going to Jennifer Trust events, that sort of thing. And my mum sort of realised she didn't think I had SMA. She knew I was quite different from the other children, just with certain things, like I was stronger in some ways than them, but then obviously they didn't have the tracheostomy, and just quite different. So they did support us, and we did go to events, and we met some great people through that, but my mum always knew that wasn't what I had. So yeah, we spent a year in hospital when I was a baby, slowly started to get home or out for a couple of hours a day, just out to the cafe, out to the park, and then we built that time up. But I had a Silver Cross pram when I was a baby, like a big old-fashioned one, and my ventilator at the time was huge and it weighed a ton. So we had to get a special tray built underneath to carry the ventilator, because at this point I was still on it all the time. So my mum used to take me out in the pram with the ventilator underneath, and one time we went out and we went shopping. I was still under 2 years old by this point. So mum took me shopping, we ended up in this baby boutique, and the ventilator battery died. So my mum panicked a little bit, but she just put me straight onto the AMU bag, which is like an emergency bag, I guess, that you squeeze in and out, and it's just, it breathes. So it connected on to my trachea, and with my mum manually squeezing it in and out, it did what the ventilator was doing and was breathing for me. So my mum didn't panic, just walked casually back up to the hospital whilst pushing a huge Silver Cross pram with a heavy ventilator in the bottom with one hand, and the other hand she used to bag me up this big hill back to the hospital. So when we got back to the ward, all the nurses was panicking, wondering where we'd been, and then when they seen those, I was on the AMU bag, they was like, "Oh my god, what's happened? What's going on? We've been worried." Mum's like, "Oh, it's fine, we was shopping." And they all sort of laughed. They was glad I was fine and that my mum handled it so well. And then I think they realised at that point that's just how we was going to get on with things. My mum didn't treat me any different. We always done things everyone else would do, and we just got on with life. We didn't really let my condition stop me. So yeah, that was a couple hours out of hospital, and then eventually I was starting to get home at night times. But before I could get home at night, I actually ended up getting night nurses at night times. So because they'd never treated a patient as young as me with a tracheostomy and a ventilator, they actually came into the hospital and started looking after me in the hospital. So the nurses there could sort of hand over and explain, show them everything I needed. So I got night nurses from the day I got home from hospital right up until I moved into this house. So for about 24 years, I had some of the same nurses. There's about 7 nurses that I had regularly, and they would come in every night around 11 o'clock till 7 o'clock in the morning, and they would, look at my ventilator, give me suction, all that sort of thing, so my mum and dad could get a good sleep and not have to worry about looking after me. So yeah, they would come in, and obviously it was 24 years, so I would see them every night. So they became more like family to me than like just nurses. And we had, I still see them to this day, still catch up with them, go for lunch and that. So it's really nice, and I think I'm really lucky to get such nice nurses. I know nowadays, especially people with trachees and stuff, they don't get like actual nurses. What I got, they get carers. None against carers, they still do a great job, but it made me feel better that I had like actual trained nurses looking after me every night. Like I said, really lucky that I got that, because I know now that wouldn't be an option. So we got home from hospital. Obviously my mum and dad, my nanny, which is my grandma, all my family had to go through training, my trachea, changing my trachea, doing the suction, all that stuff. And then I got to come home. So everything was fine, started doing everything the doctor says I wouldn't do, like walking, eating, moving around, crawling a little bit, that sort of thing. And then one day when I was around 3 or 4, I was sitting in the garden watching my brother play. He was running about, and I obviously decided I wanted to do the same. So I pulled my ventilator off and started crawling to chase him. And my mum had nipped inside at the time, and she came out and just panicked because she was like, how is she off the ventilator? How is she breathing by herself? So she panicked and phoned the hospital. And the doctor there was like, well, if she's managing off it, like leave her off it for a little bit, but put her on again after a few seconds. So that's when I started coming off the ventilator, and then from there we just built it up. A few seconds, a few minutes, and then it turned into hours, and then now I'm off it all day. So I only go on the ventilator at night time to sleep. So I go on it about 10:30 at night till around 6:30 in the morning when I get up for work. Obviously, if I'm ill or tired, I go on the ventilator more. And people laugh at me because I always say, like, I think I'm quite lucky because if I have a cold or feeling rubbish, I just go on my ventilator and I don't need to do anything. Whereas I'm like, my friends or Lee, if they've got colds, I'm like, how do you manage to sleep, with a blocked nose, feeling rubbish, and have to still breathe for herself? Because I don't need to do that. I can just switch on the machine and it breathes for me. So they always laugh at me for that. So yeah, that's like when I came off the ventilator, and then from then on, just started progressing more and more. So I went to a nursery, which was for other disabled children. It was quite clear then that I didn't really, I shouldn't be there. Although like my muscles was weak and stuff, my brain, everything still worked, and compared to the other children there, I was progressing a lot more than they was. So my mum and my grandma and my dad, they had to really fight for me to go to mainstream school because the council didn't want me to. They'd never had a children at mainstream school with a trachea and a ventilator. So after they fought quite a while, I finally got to go. And to start with, my mum and my grandma had to come with me. And then I got a carer for school who got fully trained on the suction, the trachea, the ventilator, all that sort of thing. And she actually started in primary 1 with me, so when I was about 5, all the way to the 6th year. So I was 17 then. So for 12 years of my life, Yvonne was her name. She was my carer and looked after me every day at school. She was amazing, and again, I see her more like family than I did a carer. She was really reliable, and looked after me really good. My mum knew I was in total safe hands with her. So yeah, I went to mainstream school, and just got on like everyone else. I was in a wheelchair, but in class I sat in like a chair, like a special chair that was made for me. and at this time I could actually walk a little bit, not far, but I could walk around the classroom, that sort of thing. But to go outside to play with my friends, I'd be in my wheelchair. And like I said, I met loads of friends, done everything they did, played games, done PE. The teachers never left me out. So yeah, that was really great. And out of school, I went dancing. I used my walking frame. So just done what everyone else did. I held on to my walking frame. Dancing, again, nobody treated me any different. The teachers was great, like my friends was great. Just joined in, felt back, just felt the same as everyone else. And yeah, just done what everyone else my age would do. Had friends over, had sleepovers, went out, went to dancing, went on holidays, all that sorts of thing. And then it wasn't until around I was age 11, I got scoliosis as well, which is a curve of the spine. So I've actually got two curves, one at the top and one at the bottom. So they've actually balanced themselves out. And up until this point, it didn't really affect me much. I was bent over a wee bit, but not too much. And when I walked, I always sort of walked with my right hand on my hip, because I was twisted a wee bit. But nothing major. So I started getting checkups in Edinburgh for my scoliosis, and I went one day and it was fine, nothing to worry about. And then the next appointment I went to 6 months later. I think I'd hit puberty at the time, and the doctor had said my curve got a lot worse, and the speed it got worse at was too dangerous to let go on any longer. So my mum and dad had to make the decision to either leave the curve as it was, or to put me through the spinal fusion operation. So obviously it was a really dangerous surgery, a lot of risks to it. But the surgeon explained them all to my mum and dad, and explained the benefits if I got the surgery, and if I didn't get the surgery, basically I wouldn't have much quality of life. I'd be bent right over, I'd probably be stuck in my bed, and it could start crushing my internal organs as well. So I remember coming out of that appointment, my mum and dad was really upset. I didn't really understand what was going on, but they had to make the decision what to do. So eventually they did decide to go for the spinal surgery, which was the best decision they made. I lost a bit of muscle at the time, so I wasn't able to weight bear at all on my legs after the operation, so not able to walk, even stand. But to be fair, if I didn't get the operation, that would have went anyway, because I was starting to get weaker, walking and all that, and the curve would have been so bad I wouldn't be able to. But it was a long recovery. I was in hospital for quite a while. I missed most of first year, so my first year at secondary school I missed because of the operation. But in time, I eventually got my strength back, and I would say my strength is where it was before the operation, if not a bit stronger in my upper muscles. I can do everything I used to do, except obviously, like I said, the walking and stuff, but that doesn't really affect me. I was used to being in a chair 90% of the time anyway. So I'll speak about the surgery in another video, because that's a whole other topic, but it went really well, and it was the best decision I think my mum and dad could have made. So again, doing everything that everyone else was doing, living a normal life. And it wasn't until I was age 16 that I got diagnosed with SMARD. So I was at a hospital appointment, I think it was a neurology appointment, and before I went in, the doctor said, oh, I've got a specialist in, do you mind? And I was like, no, not at all. I was used to having so many doctors in the room. So goes in, chatting away, and then the specialist kept looking at me, kept looking at my hands, which I thought was weird. And then she introduced herself, and she looked at my hands and said that she was currently looking into this condition called SMARD, and she thought I had it. Obviously, from what the doctors had told her previously, And then when she seen me and seen my hands, she was like, yeah, I think you've definitely got it. Because a sign of SMARD is like puffy, like they call it fatty finger pads. So if you can see, like my hand is quite like chubby, puffy. My fingers are like fat sausages, I say. So, and my hands are always like clenched as well. So that's where she noticed the signs from mainly. So she explained a little bit about the condition, and then asked if she could test me for SMARD. And at the time, I was 16. I wasn't really fussed. Like, I'd gone 16 years not knowing what I had, and I thought, well, it's not going to change anything. Like, I said to her, is it going to change anything? Is there anything you can do for it? And she was like, no. Like, it was basically just giving me a name for what I had. And I thought she was being quite pushy as well, and thought she was only wanting to do it for her benefit. So at the time I said no. Like, I'm not interested in what it is. But then she explained if I wanted to have children, obviously it's like the 1 in 4 chance of the child being affected by SMARD, being a carrier, that sort of thing. So I went away and thought about it, and then there was an event a couple of days later. I think it was like a muscular dystrophy event. So me and my mum was going to that anyway, and this doctor was going to be there. So I agreed to do the test because it was only a blood test that you need. So crazy, like I had muscle biopsies, my leg cut open and everything to find out what I had, and then in the end it only took a blood test. So I agreed to do it and got it done there and then. And then a couple of weeks later I got my letter in confirming I had SMARD. And me and my mum and dad, we didn't really know much about SMARD from just what the doctor told us. So we tried Googling it. We got a little bit of information, but not much. But it did make more sense. Obviously, like the respiratory, the trachea, ventilator, that sort of thing. It made a lot more sense having that than SMA. So, yeah, and then my mum found a SMARD like forum almost, and she told me to sign up to it. And I was like, I'm not fussed about signing up to it. Like, why do I need to speak to other people that's got the same condition as me? I've got my own friends, like I've got my own life, blah 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 blah. But anyway, she done it anyway. And then one night I was sitting on Facebook, and a message popped up from a lady in America, and she said she came across my name on the forum, and her son had just been diagnosed. Sorry, it's my Fergie in the background. Her son had just got diagnosed with SMARD. He was only really young at the time, I think maybe like 2 as well. And she asked if she could add me to the SMARD Facebook page. So it was a closed Facebook page, and there was a few mums on there whose children had all just been diagnosed. So they were all really young, like all just babies. And I said yeah. So I got added to the page and met the most amazing people through there. And I really liked it because I felt like I could offer advice and support, because I was a wee bit older, well, a good bit older than them, and I'd lived, through it. I felt like I could share my experience, give them a bit more hope, especially from what the doctors had said, because obviously these mums, their babies had just been diagnosed, and they got what my mum got told, like babies wouldn't walk, talk, that sort of thing, might not live. So seeing me when I was like 19 at the time, living my life, doing normal things, I think it really gave them like hope and encouragement that they needed. Yeah, I really enjoyed speaking to the mums, helping them, giving them advice, seeing pictures of their kids, that sort of thing. Most of them was in America, and I actually went out to America to meet 2 of them. I met Presley and Hunter. So at the end of the video, I'll try and put some pictures in of when I went to America. So me and Lee went to America in 2015, I think it was, and met these families, and it was just so good. When I met like Presley's family, they was really similar to like my family. Presley actually, she had respiratory distress at 18 months as well. She's blonde like me. Her mum was 22 as well when she had Presley, so which was the same age as when my mum had me. So we was really similar, and it was great seeing them. Again, with Hunter and his family, we had the best time, and I actually met in the UK as well. There's a few children with SMARD in the UK now, and I met Madison, who's also got a YouTube channel, which I'll link down below. She's quite similar to me. She can manage off her ventilator a few hours. She goes to mainstream school. She doesn't let anything stop her. She just turned 11 a couple of days ago. So yeah, I'll share her channel down below. So I met Madison and twice, and I met Jamie as well. Sadly, Jamie passed away a couple of years ago, but she was a lovely little girl, and I met her mum and dad, Sarah and Stephen, who was like really lovely people as well, and I met them at the same time as met Madison, so we all met, and I've got a couple of pictures of that as well, which I'll add below at the end of the video, sorry. So yeah, I think the best thing that came out of this situation is definitely the families I've met. So yeah, I'd say meeting the families, offering advice is definitely the best thing to come out of this. Also, sorry, the lighting's a bit weird, it's quite dark now, so, but I'm definitely trying to get this video finished and up tonight, if not tomorrow. So yeah, yeah, nothing really changed when I got diagnosed with SMARD, except I knew what it was now, and like I said, I could help families. So I'll definitely, like I said, in another video, speak all about the fundraising that's going on for that just now, and get you guys involved. But yeah, just carried on life as normal, and yeah. So a couple of questions just to finish off that I got asked was you born with SMARD? So obviously yes, I was. People don't think I was, but obviously I was born with it because it's genetic. I just didn't show signs till I was 18 months. And the other questions was, how old was I when I got diagnosed? So like I said, I was 16, which is really late. But SMARD, I don't think actually got its name, SMARD, until around 2000. So when I was born, I don't even think they knew that SMARD existed or what SMARD was. So that's why I got misdiagnosed as SMA type 2. And another question was like, does my brother have it or is he affected by it? So no, my brother is not affected by it. To be fair, I don't know if he's a carrier. He could get tested to find that out, but he's not affected by it. But also, he has a different dad from me. So my mum was previously with somebody else before she met my dad. So he has a different dad than what I do. So the risk of him having the gene or being a carrier is obviously lower, because then it would just be getting passed from my mum. And the last question was, how did it make you feel? So like the diagnosis. So like I said, the diagnosis didn't change anything. I just carried on like normal. It didn't put me up or down. At least I knew what it was. Like I said, if I want to have children in the future, it helps with that. And yeah, it didn't change anything. But I guess like another way to look at that is, how does like having SMARD make me feel? And I honestly 100%, like hands down, when I say this, nobody really believes me when I say this either, but I don't mind having it. I've never let it get to me. I've never really thought about it. Like, I don't sit there and think, oh, why me? I wish I didn't have it. Or wish like I was like everyone else. Like, oh, I wish I could walk. I wish I could do that. Like, I like 100%. I've never thought that. I don't think I would be half the person I am today if it wasn't for my condition. I think it's made me probably a better person. It's made me appreciate things more. I think it's made me meet nicer people. Like I said, my nurses and the other SMARD families, like, I'd have never got to meet them if it wasn't for this condition. And like I said, I appreciate things more, like my parents, my grandma, like everything they do for me, I really appreciate it. And I think like, especially throughout school and stuff, I maybe wouldn't have ended up, like I said, the way I am now. It might have went a different way. I don't know, but I honestly don't think I would be half the person I am today without having this condition. I have a boyfriend. I've got my dog. I drive. I've got a house. I bought my own house by the age of 25. Not a lot of people do, and again, probably if it wasn't for this condition, I'm probably wouldn't have done that. I'd have maybe went on more holidays or done stupid things with my money. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely made me who I am. One time when I was at the hospital, they said that they thought they could maybe take my trachea out, which kind of freaked me out, to be honest. I was like, no, why? And they're like, oh, I don't think you need it, blah, blah. Turns out they were speaking rubbish. Like, they've said I'll probably always need my trachea, especially I have too much suction that comes up and rely on the ventilator too much not to have my trachea. But the thought of it freaked me out. A lot of people would probably be like, oh, yay, like, let's do it, get out right now. Whereas I was like, no, it's okay, I'll just keep it, I'm fine. And my mum laughed. And I said to her, I don't think I would get rid of it now. Like I said, if I've got colds, I rely on my ventilator, like it's sort of like a comfort thing as well. People say, how do you sleep with a machine on you? Or like when they see me doing suction, is it sore? Or like, how did I used to sleep with a nurse in the room watching me? And it's just what I'm used to. Like, I've not known any different. Like, I've not had my life any other way. So, I don't know what's like to not have these things or have these things. And like I said, it's never affected me. I've never felt jealous of anybody. I've never wished that I didn't have it. Obviously, if I was born and didn't have it, yeah, it'd be better. And I wouldn't wish I had it. I'm not saying that, but now I've got it, and gotten on with my life. I honestly, it doesn't put me up or down. Like I said, I've achieved everything I wanted to, and yeah. So I guess that's one way to end it. And as always, if you've got any other questions, please let me know. People are always like, oh, I hope you don't mind me asking. But I honestly don't mind any questions being asked. It's always good to ask them. And, you know, other people might be thinking the same or going through the same thing. So I'm always happy to answer questions, share my experience in hope that can help other people and, like I said, raise awareness of SMARD. So thank you for listening and we'll see you next time. Bye!